everybody, it's Kenzie Knox and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I thought we'd paint this nice little winter landscape, and it should be super easy and paintable by all levels of painters from beginners to intermediate and advanced. So starting off with titanium white, some phthalo blue, some light blue violet, some sap green, and some Mars black. Go ahead and add those to your palette, and we'll use our size 36 filbert brush to get started. So take this filbert brush and grab some Mars black and some phthalo blue, and actually you're going to want to spritz down your canvas before we begin this process. Sorry about that. So spritz on your canvas with some water, and then go ahead and begin painting in your background. We're going to go from darkest color to lighter color. So continue grabbing your phthalo blue, no more black, and then we're going to dip into some more phthalo blue and some white, continuing down our canvas, making it lighter and lighter as we go. So now we're just grabbing titanium white and making sure that our paintbrush is cleaned off, because we are carrying that black down the canvas, which we do not want to do. Oh, just had some drips on my canvas, so getting rid of those. But basically clean off your brush, and then we're going to go back into our phthalo blue and titanium white and start painting that in. And you can already see there's a difference in the color right there, that it's not as dingy, not as dirty looking, not as, it gets rid of that black color that we don't really want on our canvas. So paint this down about 2/3 of the way down the canvas. And then we're going to start tapping in our snow. This is not usually what I do, but I thought for the fun of it, why not? So we're going to go ahead and rinse off our brush, clean it off real well, and then we're going to go ahead and dip into our titanium white and add that to our canvas, tapping that in. And continue tapping this in all the way across the canvas, and we're going to create a hill-like effect. So we want it lower on the left-hand side and then raising up on the right-hand side. And so continue tapping that in, that titanium white, going down our canvas, and eventually we'll tap into our light blue violet and titanium white, and tap into that, and we're going to start painting that in. You notice I skip a step because I want to blend these two areas, but I'm not ready to blend just yet. So I'm just bringing this down my canvas, and it will get darker as we go. So starting from light, going to dark rather than from dark to light. So now I'm grabbing my phthalo blue and titanium white and adding that to the bottom of the canvas, not adding too much white, but just enough that it lightens the color so it's not just such a harsh transition. We want these to be kind of semi-smooth transitions. So I'm bringing that up into the titanium white and light blue violet at this point. So continue tapping, letting your colors blend on the canvas. Don't blend them on your canvas. That's, less fun, I guess you can say. But let the colors blend on the canvas while you tap them in, and then go back over, rinse off your brush, and we're just going to pick up some titanium white and some light blue violet and begin tapping that in. And bring that all the way up until you reach that titanium white layer. Now this painting can be very easy, or you can get into very detailed format depending on what level of skill of painting that you have. So if you're a beginner, go easy on the details. However, stick to the main properties or process of the painting. And for advanced painters, go ahead and paint in as much detail as you'd like. So that's why this painting is so diverse. It can be painted from beginners to advanced. There's no level of painter that cannot paint this painting. And so once you're done with your transitions and you're happy with it, go ahead and dry that off with a hairdryer before moving on, or take a break. Whichever you prefer. Take about 10 minutes or so for it to dry, or just take a hairdryer and it'll take about a minute, if not less. Well, once dry, go ahead and add some burnt sienna to your palette and grab your size 2 flat brush, and we're going to go ahead and start painting in our house. So starting off with a triangle about 1/3 of the way over the canvas. You can make this triangle large or small or narrow or wide, whatever you like, but make a triangle that is going to be the roof portion of our house, and then we're going to draw a straight line over, or a line that slightly goes down, and then draw another portion of a triangle. Then we'll draw in some straight lines going down, which will be the side of the house, and then another straight line down, connecting all points. So that will be the front of the house, where the door and some windows will be, and then we'll have the side of the house where we'll just have some windows. So once you're happy with the general shape of a house, we're going to go ahead and paint it in. So taking that burnt sienna, just take your brush. You can switch to a larger brush. At this point, I switched to a size 6 flat brush and just fill it in with that burnt umber color. Just not painting the roof though. So once you're done painting the side of the house, you can move on to the front portion of the house and just fill that on in. Once you're done painting the majority of your house, we're just going to add a little chimney up here using that same color. So just paint in a little chimney that comes past the rooftop, and then we're going to paint in another portion of the chimney that goes on to the other side of the rooftop. So do not pass that roof line, but carry it out so it'll be like more 3D-like effect. Once you're done with that, rinse off your brush and grab some titanium white, and we're just going to begin filling in the canvas. So at this point, we're still blocking in the painting. This is not our final painting coat at all. We're just making it lighter so that we can easier apply our paint easier. Sorry, I'm tripping on words here. But it'll just make it easier for us to get the color that we want. Once you're done with painting that part of the roof, we just need to cover over the other side of the roof where there'll be a snow cap over there, and then we're done with the rooftop. Go ahead and add some raw umber to your palette, and we're going to start painting in a little tree to the left of the house. And so just using that same size 6 flat brush, I'm just going to paint a tree that comes from the horizon point all the way up to the top of the canvas. And you can make this straight, you can make it crooked, you can make it branch off, you can do whatever you'd like to this tree depending on how you feel. And so I decided to add a few branches of my own, starting up here, and I'll draw in branches more towards the end of the painting. On the lower portion, that'll be skinnier and a little more fine in detail. So these are just going to be the thicker branches with a few minor little branches breaking off from those maybe. Again, we're blocking in some color here, and we'll go over with more detail afterwards. Grabbing some more burnt sienna on our size 6 flat brush, we're just going to add another coat to the house. And then once you're done with that, go ahead and rinse off your brush thoroughly and grab some light blue violet with some titanium white, making a very light blue color. And we're going to go ahead and add that to the rooftop where the snow is. I know it looks like it's bright white right now. I'm sorry about that. I don't know how to fix this coloring, but it is a light blue violet shade, but a very light one at that. And don't forget about the other side of the house too. And if you pick up any brown along the way, just go ahead and rinse off your brush and start again. So grabbing a fan brush, a small one, like a 4 or a 6 maybe, medium to small, go ahead and grab some Mars Black and some Sap Green and mix those up on your palette. And we're going to add some evergreen trees. We probably should have done this before we added the house, but when in Rome, right? So I just decided to add these back here. So let's go ahead and just paint them in, being careful not to hit the house. And if you do, just go ahead and, rinse that off or wipe that off with a cloth or paper towel, or you can just wait for it to dry and paint over it again. So go ahead and paint in an evergreen here and then another evergreen next to it. This one won't go all the way to the top, but we'll start a little bit down the ways on the canvas, maybe like a third down the canvas. And keep in mind, this does not go as low as the other tree, although you can make it low like the other tree, but you don't have to. Going back to our size 2 flat brush, we are going to go ahead and grab some burnt sienna to our brush, and we're going to go ahead and paint in some bark, just creating some lines and some highlights along the tree. Just adding a little bit more detail to this part of the painting. We'll go ahead and add more detail and more highlights to this afterwards as well once we paint in our windows. Next, mixing up some burnt sienna along with some raw umber and some titanium white. We're going to make a light shade of brown. I'm sorry that you can't really see this on the palette. I didn't realize you couldn't see it when I was showing it, but yeah, it's a lighter warm shade of brown. We're going to go ahead and draw in some trees behind the house. This is probably something we should have done before we painted in the house as well, but I just decided to add them in. I just thought it'd be something nice to add in. So go ahead and add in some branches and some twigs back here. Once you're done with all your twigs and whatnot branches, then we can go ahead and grab some raw sienna, or raw umber, raw umber to our brush. And we're just going to add in some shadows and some lowlights to our branches. And you don't have to add this to every single one. It can be just to a few of them, or to all of them, or as many as you feel like. Once you're done with your branches and twigs, we can go ahead and rinse out our brush. And I started painting in the windows with titanium white, but soon realized that the paint underneath wasn't dry. So next step, rinse off your brush, go back into that raw umber, and we're just going to outline the borders of the house. So this would be like the trim of the house, essentially. So just go ahead and paint this in, going around the house. At this point, hopefully the paint is dry underneath, and we're going to try again with the windows. So like I was trying to say before, you can paint these as short or as tall as you'd like. It's really up to you. If you carry some of the brown into the windows, it's really not that big of a deal since we're just really blocking it in. This is not our final color. So go ahead and paint those in. If it's still really wet, go ahead and take a hairdryer to it, or take a break for about 10 minutes and come back and paint them in. Since I was picking up too much of the underlayer of paint, I just decided to clean off my brush and grab my size 4 filbert brush and grab some light blue violet and some titanium white and create a pathway from the doorway to basically us. So basically it'll be narrow at the door and get wider as it comes towards us. Then I'm going to take some light blue violet, simply light blue violet, and edge the corners of the pathway so it looks like it's kind of sunk in a little bit. And then I'm going to take some titanium white and go over the sides of the snowbanks to make those lighter and brighter in shade to make them look like they're raised up. Once you're done with that, go ahead and add some ultramarine blue to your palette. And we're going to mix up some light blue violet with a little bit of white using our size 8 cattail brush. And you could just use a large filbert brush if you like. I just felt like using this cattail brush because I hadn't used it yet. So adding some light blue violet and white, I'm just going to darken in some of these areas. I really want this to be a different shade of color than it was. It's more of a warm shade and I want it more of a cool shade. So we're going to change this up a bit. Adding some ultramarine blue and some titanium white. Mix those together and add those to the bottom of your canvas. And we want this to be the darkest area of our canvas, the bottom part of it. We'll just keep that in mind. And light blue violet looks a lot like ultramarine blue, but it is a lighter shade of ultramarine blue. So if you ever need light blue violet, you can just add white or titanium white to ultramarine blue and you can get that shade. But anywho, I'm just transitioning the colors gradually, going from lightest to darkest, creating a gradient and also a vignette effect, so keeping the outside of the canvas darker than the inside of the canvas. So continue painting this in until you're satisfied with the way your canvas looks. Next, we're going to use our size 2 fan brush and we're going to go ahead and dip into some sap green. And we're going to add this to our trees, being careful. This is a mid-tone shade essentially, so be careful where you place this. We don't want to cover the entire tree, but just the area towards where the house windows would reflect on them, so that is where our light source is coming from. So we're going to highlight this big tree and the smaller tree behind it, just a little bit. And then we're going to add some light olive green to our palette. And we're going to take that light olive green shade and we're going to highlight the trees even further, keeping in mind that this amount of light that we're adding is going to be even less than we added the other green shade. So just a little bit of green will do. Less is better in this case. Going back to our size 2 flat brush, we're going back to titanium white and filling in the windows. Hopefully our paint is dried at this point. Obviously mine's a little bit wet, but it's okay. Just cover it up as best as possible before we paint in the color of the windows. So once you've painted in the windows and the door, we're going to go ahead and add luminous yellow and luminous orange to our palette. Obviously you can use just yellow and orange if you don't have these luminous colors. But go ahead and mix up orange, the luminous orange, and titanium white together and add those to the top portions of the windows. Only the windows, not the door. And once you're done with this, we're going to go ahead and add titanium white to the luminous yellow and add it to the bottom portion of the windows. Since the paint on my windows does not seem to be dry yet, I decided to move on to the tree and highlight the tree with the luminous yellow and luminous orange shades, moving from the luminous yellow shade closest to the house to the luminous orange shade farther away from the house. Once you finalize the details of your tree and you're happy with it, we can move back over to the windows, and hopefully that has been dried by now. So go ahead and add titanium white and luminous orange to mix those together on your palette, and then add those to the top portion of your windows again. Hopefully this time it will stick. And once you're done with the luminous orange, you can go ahead and take your luminous yellow, add some white to it, and then fill in the bottom portions of the windows. As you can see, I'm still pulling up some brown from the house. There must be a lot of brown paint under there, but that's okay. Just try to either go back over it with a lot more paint and some water, or just let it dry and then you can apply another coat later on. And if you happen to mess up like I just did, just clean off your brush real quick with some water and then take off the paint real quickly with that paintbrush that's clean, and then continue on. Now that we're done with the windows, we're going to go ahead and grab our raw umber, and we're going to take this color and start adding in the lines of the house for the siding, or for if it's a log cabin for the logs, if it's vinyl siding for the vinyl siding, or whatever type of siding house you want. Now these are just indications of siding, so if you're not very good with straight lines, you can just add a few in, or you don't have to add any in if you're a beginner and you're very uncomfortable doing this. You can just add some shadows to underneath the windows for the window ledges, and basically shadow in towards the top and under the roof areas, and basically just skip this step altogether if you're not comfortable with it. Luckily this time around all of my lines are pretty much straight, so I lucked out, I think. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm giving myself a pat on the back because this does not usually happen. So I was quite excited with these lines that I created. And again, this is using a size 2 flat brush, but you can use a liner brush if you're more comfortable with that, or any other size flat brush that you're comfortable with. They don't have to be super close together like mine are. They can be further apart as well if you're not that comfortable painting them that close together. And you can always remove them by wetting your brush and fixing them, or like I said, just draw indications of them. You can even just do fat lines of darker brown to create that look of the side vinyl, and skip a plank and then do another dark brown one. But anywho, grab Scarlet Red, add that to your palette, and paint in your front door. That's what color I'm going with. You can choose any color front door that you'd like. You don't have to use red, but I just like the thought of a red door on a cabin during Christmas or the holiday season. I'm switching over to a size 00 round brush. You can use a liner brush, or you can use that same size 2 flat brush if you'd like. But we're now going to add the siding to the windows. So taking that raw umber, we're just going to go around each of the windows, creating a windowsill. I think it's called a windowsill. The wood around the windows. Rinsing off your brush, don't forget to shade in the chimney to give it a three-dimensional look. We're just going to shade in this side that's facing towards the trees. Taking some raw umber and some black, I'm using the same size 00 round brush. We're just going to create some twigs coming out of the ground. You can use a liner brush for this, or you can use a rake brush for this. Any brush will do, a round brush, a flat brush. Really, if you don't have the brushes that I have, it does not mean you can't paint these paintings. It just means that you need to figure out a different way to paint them, and there's many different ways. I just feel more comfortable with this new brush, and I wanted to give it a try because I really liked it, and I bought it, and I wanted to put it to use. So now I just created a big tree in front of that window, and I switched over to my rake brush. So now I'm using a fan rake brush. You don't have to use a rake brush. I'm just showing you different ways and methods of doing these twigs. You can continue with your round brush or your liner brush or your flat brush. We're just creating some sort of bush or brush around the house. Going back to a filbert brush, a size 4 or 2 filbert brush, I'm going into my luminous yellow and titanium white, and I'm just going around the edge of the house to highlight the snow on top of the rooftop. And now after I clean off my brush, I'm going to add some more white to that luminous yellow, and I'm just going to shade in some of the rooftop so it has a glow to it. Some of the reflections from the lights everywhere. And I'm so sorry, I don't know why my camera adjusts the lighting it does the way it does, because it really gets rid of the color. I'm taking some raw umber and some black, and I'm shadowing underneath some of the rooftop areas. Just water down this mixture of paint, and you can just glaze it on top of the canvas. I'm doing it under the windowsills as well. Then I'm taking that luminous yellow color, and I'm just highlighting the windowsills too. So that's where some snow will be falling, or gathering, I guess you could assume. Continue on with this luminous yellow. I am highlighting the bottom part of the window in the door frame, or in the door, and then using that luminous orange to do the upper portion of the door. Switching over to a size 8 filbert brush, I am now taking some titanium white, and I'm just going to tap in on top of the foliage some of the snow caps that are just piling up from the snow. Make sure you use white, because we'll go over this with some other color highlights, but if you match the color in the window, you won't be able to determine what's the window from the bush. So that's important. We're going to add some snow caps to these other bushes as well, and we'll go over these two with some luminous colors. So now I'm mixing up some luminous orange and titanium white. I'm just going on the bottom parts of the bushes, just where that light would capture from the upper part of the window. And now taking some luminous yellow and titanium white after I've washed off my brush, I'm going over just a couple pieces of the brush in front of the window and on the tops of the other bushes. Remember not to make the entire bush on the far right side all color, because then you'll lose your window. Now going back to my cobalt blue, I'm going to take that, or light blue violet, either one is fine, and shadow in the bushes, and the trees. And now I'm just adding some, okay, so you cannot see this. This is luminescent yellow and titanium white, and I am highlighting the areas in front of the windows, and because the color on the camera brightened up so high, you cannot see this color. I don't know why my camera does this, and I really apologize. I don't know how to fix this setting. It automatically does this every once in a while. I just happen to do it at this point. So now I'm taking some cobalt blue or light blue violet and shadowing in the tree, but because the shadow didn't show well enough, I ended up using ultramarine blue and a little bit of white to add that shadow. And that's about it. So that was the last detail of our painting, and I really hope you enjoyed this YouTube tutorial. It was given in a step-by-step manner, and I really hope that I gave enough instruction that you could follow and complete this painting. If you liked the tutorial, please remember to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my YouTube channel for upcoming videos. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye!